Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Everything is Bad new Fangled motion picture show.
Hello, one and all. Today we are here to bring to you a review for a movie that shows just how creepy Chris Hemsworth can look with a mustache, but also shock you with how natural it seems to look on him. Of course, talking about the movie Bad Times at the El Royale.
Movie we've been anticipating for a while.
I am Niall.
I'm Nolan.
And we're going to be doing our usual thing where we do a spoiler-free review. I give you a spoiler warning and go more in depth into the review. So, we'll get right into it. Yeah, so, man.
Not for the faint of heart.
No, this was a pretty tense movie at points.
Yeah, pretty dark. But it was good.
It was a really good
movie. I really
movie.
enjoyed it.
Yep. It's got Jeff Bridges, John Hamm, and Chris Hemsworth. And if that's not enough star power to make you want to see a movie, it also has Nick Offerman in it.
Yep. And who doesn't love Nick Offerman?
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm willing to see just about anything Jeff Bridges is in, or at least give it a whirl, as it were. But also having John Hamm in it, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
can't not
and
see that.
John Hamm he looks so natural in 60s clothing.
He really does. Wearing that, it was like a checkered suit coat or something, right?
Yeah, and horn-rimmed glasses.
Horn-rimmed glasses, man. It's just like, I saw it, I was like, yep, that's John Hamm. That's just what John Hamm looks like.
But yeah, this movie is... It's several characters arrive at this hotel that's...
It straddles the California-Nevada line,
and it's somewhere
Tahoe.
between Reno and Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, it's sort of implied that it's closer to Lake Tahoe, I think, than to Reno. I mean, it would have to be. Reno's not on the border,
right? But yeah, it's near there, and the big deal with this hotel is half of it is in California and half of it is in Nevada.
So like the liquor license is held in the California half. So that's where the bar is, and then the gambling license obviously is in the Nevada half. One thing I will appreciate is they kept calling it Nevada.
Yeah,
as Nevada, not Nevada.
Nevadans pronounce it Nevada.
Yep.
And if you haven't guessed where we're at by now,
yeah.
And then they also they treat Reno in the way that Las Vegans treat Reno.
Yeah, they imply Reno to be every bit the shithole that people living in Las Vegas imagine it to be.
Whether it's true or not doesn't matter. That's just the way they portray it. But yeah, and so it's like you pick your room, and like it costs $1 more to stay in the California ones. They could have made some reference to taxes or something there, but they said like, well, it's because
it's in California.
It's in California.
Yeah.
But yeah, several people arrive at this hotel for different reasons, and it sort of tells the events through like the perspective of one of them, and then it'll jump back and tell the events through the perspective of another one until you get the full picture by the end of it.
Yeah, and there's only one person, right? I don't want to spoil anything, but pretty much everyone there is there for, like, unscrupulous reasons.
Yeah, or at least they're not truthful with who they are and why they're there.
Right. So yeah, that, and there is something about Jeff Bridges that gets spoiled in the trailers that, looking back on it, I really wish they hadn't.
Because they're trying to keep it a secret up until a point in the movie.
Yeah, in the movie, it's sort of this. It's the thing that none of the actors know, none of the characters know about him, but the audience, I mean, we knew about it going in because we'd seen the trailers, and so I don't want to say anything here about it in case you haven't seen the trailers.
Or you're that type of person that just doesn't watch trailers.
Right.
I know there are people out there that like, if it's a movie that interests them, they avoid trailers because they don't want any.
Yeah, so we'll get more into that in the spoiler part, but that was basically my one complaint about the movie is...
And it's not the movie's fault.
It's not the movie's fault. It's whoever cut the trailer. Which is always another company. Like, it's never the production studio that...
And, yeah, and the director or producer, they don't always even have final say over the the cut of the trailer. It's
Yeah,
some
but
executives at the studio.
There are companies that's all they do though, is take footage that a production company or a production studio has for their movie thus far and cuts trailers for it. Now, sometimes, like, I think Lucasfilm cuts their own trailers. For instance, like, some studios are that way with particularly big titles. They might do their own trailers. Like, pretty sure Marvel does all their own trailers in-house. But there's a lot of, like, they want to control how much is spoiled.
Yeah, for a movie like this, it's not going to be some big blockbuster movie. They're not so concerned with that.
Yeah, so the trailer company really screwed up. And it was I think it was in the second trailer.
Yeah, I think it was.
So if you've only seen the first trailer, don't watch the second trailer, because I think it will be a better experience if you don't know this thing about Jeff Bridges going into it. That's all I'm going to say about that. So this movie really kind of feels like someone trying to do their own take on a Quentin Tarantino movie, because there's like all these different characters sort of interacting,
and it's more of a character-driven movie than a plot-driven movie,
right? And so all these characters are in this one place together, who have nothing to do with each other. Shit happens. You find out more about why each of these characters is there, and it's like this crazy intertwined thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty dark movie, thematically. Visually, there's
a lot of it takes place at night.
A lot of it takes place at night or in the rain or both, but it's all over the course of one night.
Yeah.
Or like afternoon into the night.
Yeah, it starts like late in the day, afternoon, and then continues over the course over that night. But yeah, I thought it was a very well-made movie. Good acting on all parts. I didn't have
everything was great.
No complaints whatsoever from any of the cast.
Yeah, everything was great about.
Yeah, and it's a period. It's set in the late 60s, like 68, 69, something like that.
Let me see if the plot synopsis gives the date.
Nixon is president. Vietnam is still going on, or it's just wrapping up?
Well, it's
right.
Well, yeah, because it's.
I mean, they show like they set the time period by showing.
I mean, Nixon. Yeah, I mean, Nixon was there like mid Vietnam. I mean, let's see. So he's on. There's clips of him on the TV, and he's not dealing with anything to do with Watergate. So.
Right, but I mean that's how they like give you a time period. Is they show these like they'll have a TV on and they'll be playing like news clips, of Nixon talking about things. They'll be talking about Vietnam or they'll be talking about whatever, and that's how.
There was also a murder.
That was part of the plot, though.
Yeah,
but it felt very similar to like one of the Manson family.
Yeah.
Murders. I think that was kind of where they were trying to parallel that, but that was part of the plot, and that wasn't a real thing. But the other,
right. But that was one of the things that was on the TV throughout the movie. And there's a lot of Motown music.
Oh yeah, it's like, and it's funny. Like the soundtrack is all played out of like a jukebox. So a lot of the movie takes place,
except for when one of the characters is singing.
Right, but what they'll do is a lot of the movie takes place in the lobby of the hotel, and there's a jukebox, and so someone will put in a quarter and start playing a song, and that'll sort of fade into becoming the background theme
for whatever's
going on. And it'll be thematic to whatever the scene is, but like it'll show a character select the music, and it'll be like real loud, then it'll kind of fade to the point like it'll fade down so you can hear the dialogue. Yeah, and it just sort of becomes background music.
It was pretty well done.
Yeah, it was pretty cool how it was done. It was mostly Motown. There was one or two rock and roll songs from the time in there.
Yeah. But so yeah, the soundtrack is pretty cool. And yeah, it's a weird thing to review this movie because we can't. There's so much like intertwining of plot, and timing is a big deal. It keeps like jumping back. Every time it switches the perspective, the character jumps back to earlier, so you're seeing the event that you just saw, but from a different point of view. And so we can't really talk too much about the plot because like there's things that are potentially spoilers very early.
There's really
on in the
not a
movie.
whole lot of plot. Like I said, it's mostly character driven.
That's the other thing, which kind of like a Tarantino movie.
Yeah, and that's not a knock on the movie.
No.
It's really is kind of interesting the way it's done, and it's just primarily character driven story. So the overall plot is actually very small and contained. You just see it repeatedly, and it doesn't get boring or anything because it's a different perspective. So
Which will sort of reveal more of what's going on.
Each time it reveals more and more of what's going on. So you're like, oh, now I see why this happened, or what's going on here, and that makes more sense now. You know, so I think we're kind of at a point where we need to go into the spoiler section probably.
Yep. Go see this movie though.
Yeah.
If you're not gonna listen to the rest of this review right now, go see this movie. It is good. It deserves at least the 7.7 out of 10 it has on IMDb.
Yeah.
I would say more because IMDb tends to be more generous.
Yeah.
Or sorry, 7.6, not 7.7. And I would say it probably deserves more because IMDb it tends to be more generous with its ratings than.
I think though, as far as any of the characters, John Hamm stole all of the scenes.
Oh yeah, every scene John Hamm was in
he's
was
like
great.
this very like his character is like this larger than life sort of character. He's like this.
Well, John Hamm's a very charismatic person in general.
Yeah, but his character was just like very boisterous and larger than life, and he's like he doesn't let anyone get in word edgewise on anything, and he just talks over everyone. It's just really pretty.
There was also a couple of scenes with Jeff Bridges that were just like really top-notch acting from Jeff Bridges.
Yeah,
I will say, just really. I mean, like,
and this guy that played the clerk there too.
Yeah,
he was good. Lewis Pullman.
Yeah,
I didn't know him from anything. He looked really familiar to me, but I looked him up and I was like, I don't think I know him from anything.
Yeah.
But he's gonna be playing Major in this Catch-22 miniseries,
which is in post-production, and I loved Catch-22, and I had no idea this was happening. So that was a good surprise. Find out today. Also, he's in the new Top Gun movie.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's funny. Like he's got this character's got this spiel where he comes out and says you can stay in the California side or Nevada side, and he's like has this whole spiel he's supposed to give. So like every time someone comes in to get a room, he's like he's got to go around the counter and like give his spiel, and like he's like starts it off, and then Dakota Johnson's character just interrupts and like I'll take room 5.
Yeah,
and he's like looks kind of deflated.
Yeah. But yeah, so spoiler part then?
Yeah, spoiler warning right now.
Spoiler warning, henceforth. So Chris Hemsworth plays a cult leader of sorts.
Yeah, he's very Charles Manson-y.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Clearly has a sexual relation with the like 15-year-old girl.
Roughly around that.
I mean,
they never specifically give her age, but she's very much seems to be a minor.
And they never come out and say that she's a minor, and they never come out and call him a pedophile. But there's some heavy implications from some of the characters that that's what's going on.
Right. Like, we know he's having sex with this girl.
Yeah.
They never come out and give her age, and I don't know, I think the actress is actually an adult, but she looks really young. And, like, if you were to, like, see her, you'd be like, 15 maybe?
Yeah, especially
14,
with the way
15
they had
years,
her,
yeah, 14, 15 years old.
especially with the way they had her dressed and like the makeup or whatever.
And she's also really short. She's less than 5 feet tall, so that helps make her look younger.
But yeah, man, Chris Hemsworth, like he's
super
like
creepy.
such a cult leader. Like he looked like a character straight out of Far Cry 5, man. You know, it was
and he was great. He was so like charismatic, but like in a creepy way. But you could see why people would follow him.
Yeah, you could, well, especially all these like damaged.
Yeah, like all these like
people.
damaged, lost people that like follow him in his cult, and yeah, you could see like why they would, and he's got this creepy mustache and everything.
Yeah, but what's also weird is it didn't look out of place on him.
Right.
It was like, man, that is a really creepy, bothersome, uncomfortable mustache that I see on Chris Hemsworth right there. But it doesn't look out of place, which has me worried.
Well,
so...
and I hadn't really heard Chris Hemsworth do an American accent before.
He was good.
He was good. It was like a slight Texas drawl because the character, I think he was from Texas.
I don't remember.
But he like was. I mean, he was living in California, but like
Yeah.
that conversation he was having with that girl on the beach, and
Yeah, I think he might have mentioned that he was from Texas.
yeah, but it wasn't like overdone.
Right.
It felt pretty natural. And yeah, I was impressed with it.
Yeah, that was really
I'd never
great.
heard him do an American accent before that I'm aware of, because I didn't see like Ghostbusters or anything. I don't know if he did an accent in that or not.
Yeah. Jeff Bridges has this scene where he's explaining how his character has dementia, and it's just
It's
like,
heartbreaking. Yeah, you really feel
Oh
for him.
gosh, it was like
That's not the secret, by the way.
that. No, that's not the secret. But it was hard to watch, but like in a way that is good because of good acting.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, oh man,
Like you really felt like he was going through that, and you know, it's
yeah. So
you know,
that
I
was
fortunately haven't had anyone in my life deal with that
Yeah.
before they passed or anything.
yeah, but
So I
gosh,
imagine that'd be really difficult.
yeah, but man, it was. I mean, it was phenomenal acting on Jeff
I mean,
Bridges' part.
there's a
And,
part
I mean,
with like a gun to his head. He can't remember his real name, and he's just like,
and he turns to another character and says,
like-
"Have I told you my? Did I tell you my real name?" You know, she's crying because she's grown to like this guy.
and she knows that he has dementia. She's like, "No, you never told me your real name," and he's like, he can't do it.
Yeah,
He can't come up with his real name.
yeah. So the secret about Jeff Bridges though is that he's not really a priest. He was a criminal, and he knocked over an armored car, like literally and figuratively knocked over an armored car with his brother
And some other guy.
and some other guy. His brother being played by Nick Offerman, which I was like, why bother having someone as known as Nick Offerman if you're gonna have half his face concealed for the whole of the one scene he's in?
Well, he was in that opening scene, but his face was in shadow the whole time.
Yeah, you can.
But I was watching it, like when you see like the light, I'm like, is that Nick Offerman? Like I could see it.
Yeah,
Because the movie opens with Nick Offerman renting one of these hotel rooms and burying money under the floor.
yeah. Under the floorboard.
And then some guy, presumably the guy that they had partnered with, came in and shot him.
Yeah,
And then, but didn't get the money. And so Jeff Bridges, he winds up going to jail for 10 years. And when he gets out, he wants to go collect the money, but he doesn't know what room it's in. He can't remember if it's 4 or 5
because of his dementia.
because of his dementia. And so he rents room 4. It's not there. And then he realizes, so room 5, the next to him, which is occupied by what's her name?
Darlene Sweet.
Yeah, the character is Darlene Sweet, played by Cynthia.
Erivo?
Yeah, I didn't know who she is, but she's this Motown singer. The character is.
Yeah.
And she's traveling. She's got a job in Reno, singing in a lounge in Reno, and so she's traveling there. And she's staying at the El Royale because it's cheaper than staying actually in Reno. So she's gonna like get up and go to her
it's
like
she's
shift
not
there
not getting paid enough
to stay
to
in Reno.
stay in Reno. She would be in the hole if she stayed in Reno, so she has to stay in the outskirts.
So anyway, he makes a deal with her because they realize by that point they realize that there's some shady stuff going on at the El Royale.
That's not them.
Doesn't have anything to do with them. All the rooms have two-way mirrors, and someone we think it's the FBI is paying has the staff who's right now is down to one guy go and record.
Well, here's the thing: so John Hamm is an FBI agent, and the reason he's there is to remove all their bugs from this hotel. They're done with the hotel for whatever reason.
Hmm.
Whatever reasons they had it bugged for, they're done with it. So he's going in to remove all the bugs. And from the way he acted, it definitely seemed like all the bugs were just in the honeymoon suite. So he's like going through removing all of them. But as he's removing the bugs, he's finding other bugs that are not theirs. And he calls up Hoover.
Yeah.
J. Edgar variety.
He tells him to just
leave it
be.
Like,
and get out
leave
of
it be. Don't get involved with anything going on there.
So anyway, somebody's paying this guy who's offering them to film through the two-way mirrors when they get like someone important staying there.
Yeah.
And everything. Anyway, so because they realize that they could be spied on, he makes a deal with this woman so to stay in a room and practice her singing, to hide the fact that he's breaking through the floor
between the beds.
He's down between the beds, breaking through the floor. So her singing will cover up that noise, and anyone who's watching will just see this woman singing while he's hiding behind the bed, breaking in. And they get the money, and they're about to get out when the cult shows up because.
Yeah, so and then
one of the other people there.
Yeah, see, this is what we're talking about. How it's like this intertwined, and it's all this character-driven thing.
So Dakota Johnson's character, her sister was in this cult, and so she kidnaps her sister to get her out of there. And
John Hamm sees it through the two-way mirror.
He sees her drag the girl in and tie her to a chair.
So he assumes that she's kidnapping this girl,
which she is. But doesn't realize why.
Yeah.
And so he busts in the room to rescue the girl. He gets killed by Dakota Johnson.
Close range with a 12 gauge with buckshot.
But then the sister, she calls the cult leader, Chris Hemsworth, to come pick her up.
Yeah, she's in love with the cult leader.
She's in love with the cult leader.
She's in love.
Yeah. And yeah, this guy is like a real creep. They show a scene where he has two girls, both presumably underage. They both appear to be. We never get actual ages. Fight, and the winner of the fight gets to go spend the night with him.
Yeah, but the whole point is like, while they're fighting, I go over here and steal their shit. And it was
this whole like lesson on the misdirection of the government and all this stuff
and religion and they tell you to take sides, right and wrong, and all this.
Anyway, so that
creepy.
Then Chris Hemsworth and his cult shows up, and and things go to shit from there. Yeah, it was very interesting, like the way they intertwined all these people that have nothing to do with each other, but they all get like mixed up in everyone else's stuff. And the guy who's running the place, though, turns out he's a Vietnam vet, and he's just like can't deal with the fact that he can't deal with the fact that he killed like 120 something people.
Right.
That's weighing on him, and then now he's got this like very shady job where he's recording, politicians having sex and with prostitutes, and blackmail,
doing worse things.
With. Yeah, he talks about some of the things he's seen, which is like some really disgusting stuff. And the whole time when he thinks Jeff Bridges is a priest, he's trying to like confess to Jeff Bridges the whole time because he just needs to get this off his chest, and Jeff Bridges doesn't really want to hear it because he's not really a priest. But yeah, in the end, the only people who survive are Jeff Bridges and
Darlene
and
Cynthia Erivo. Yeah, so like I said, it's like conceptually it felt very much like a Tarantino movie, because like the whole movie takes place in one location. It's all these different characters that are all brought together for different reasons. Which it
felt like the Hateful Eight set in the 60s, but a more fun movie to watch.
Yeah, so I mean, but he had a similar thing with his first movie with Reservoir Dogs.
Oh yeah, with Reservoir Dogs too.
It's the same thing. It all took place in one location. It was this eclectic collection of characters, and it was all like character driven stuff. Um, yeah, and it was just a really interesting movie. It shit on Reno, so there's that. Yeah, I mean it was a really entertaining movie where very little happens, like
Yeah, but the
plot-wise.
dialogue was really well written
Yeah,
too.
the
and
dialogue
some
was
of
all
the
really well written. So yeah, it's great acting. So I highly recommend you see it if you haven't yet. Although I'm sure some of the appeal will be lost if you listen to the spoiler part without watching the movie first.
yeah, the movie would lose a lot if you knew what was going to happen. So, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Let's see what's our next movie. What is next weekend? Next weekend is Halloween, which we're probably not going to see because horror movies aren't our thing. Probably
Although
see-
I do like the idea of this Halloween movies having like ignored all the other sequels and just
yeah,
maybe mid-90s.
mid-90s looks interesting. It's only 84 minutes. It's real short. It looks really interesting though. And having grown up in that time period, I think it's something that you know,
Yeah, I mean, this nostalgia goes a long way for.
yeah. Like I mean, he's wearing like a Ren and Stimpy shirt in one of the trailers, right?
Yeah,
So, and then the following week is Hunter Killer.
that looks pretty bad.
So, yeah, it does. It doesn't look great. But I am interested in seeing it just because I know that they've been working on this movie for so long.
Well, you know a guy who.
So I know a guy. So the movie stars Gerard Butler, who you might remember played Leonidas in 300. So this buddy of mine who's from high school, he's in the Navy, has this tattoo on his chest, or like his like left shoulder chest area of this stick figure doing the Spartan kick on this other stick figure, like kicking him off this ledge. He was on the submarine that Gerard Butler spent time on when preparing for this role in this movie. So he has this picture on his Facebook page showing Gerard Butler this tattoo, and it's just a fantastic picture. I kind of want to see.
It also has Gary Oldman in it too.
Yeah, so it's like I kind of want to see it because I like the cast.
Yeah,
but it doesn't look good. I mean, if we want to see a movie that week, though, it's pretty much that. Because, man, Johnny English Strikes Again looks terrible.
Oh God,
Can't believe they made a second one.
As far as I know, it's the second one. I mean, I know there's another. There's the first Johnny English. If they made other sequels besides that, I don't know. But that's the second one I'm aware of.
Otherwise, there's like a lot of like old movies getting anniversary releases. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean that's the weekend of before Halloween, so
yeah, so it's gonna be light with anything worth seeing. I'm surprised with the like lack of horror movies around in October this year.
They came early this year though. Like all the horror movies were in September.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like they're all trying to move further forward to beat the other horror movies, and they wind up moving them all out of October.
Yeah. But then the first weekend in November is Bohemian Rhapsody, which looks awesome, and Nutcracker and the Four Realms, which does not. Oh man, that movie looks like a movie that is going to lose Disney loads of money. You know?
It just doesn't.
God, because
even our mother, who's like the biggest Disney fan in the world, she's looking at it like going, eh.
Yeah, it looks like it cost them so much money.
Oh, it's like 100% effect shots.
Oh man,
it's like all, even if it's just a set extension or something. This looks like 100% effect shots.
Yeah, it just looks like a really expensive movie to have made, and I just cannot see them making a profit on it. And then Overlord looks interesting. The Girl in the Spider's Web looks interesting.
Yeah.
And then the Front Runner also looks pretty good. And then the new Fantastic Beasts movie, which looks okay.
Yeah, I actually liked that first one quite a bit. I think it's my favorite of the Harry Potter movies, actually.
Yeah. And then Ralph Breaks the Internet. Following that's the week of Thanksgiving, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And Creed
23rd?
2 and
Yeah.
Robin Hood. That's gonna be a busy week.
Yeah. It's gonna be a busy month
Yeah.
in November. So yeah. Next weekend, like I said, next weekend is probably mid-90s is it if we do anything.
Yeah.
If we find time to go to the theater, we'll see mid-90s and we'll do a review on it. And then otherwise, possibly Hunter Killer, but that's like all that's left for this month. November was pretty light.
October
was pretty light. November looks really busy. And then later on we'll worry about December because December is always busy with movies. Although a bunch of stuff got pushed out of December, I noticed.
Yeah.
I was looking at some things that got pushed. What was it? It got pushed like 3 days after its trailer came out.
Oh, X-Men. Then it.
Oh yeah, the Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix. Yeah.
Yeah, that movie got pushed like by a couple of months, like 3 days after they dropped the trailer for it. So it is no longer on Valentine's Day. Seemed like a weird day to release that movie, but at least when Deadpool did it, it was as a joke.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's what we got coming up. So if you want to be notified when those come out, you want to make sure you see those, subscribe. I don't even know how YouTube does its metrics anymore. My landing page is nothing for my subscription channels, so I don't know how they're even determining it. But
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah.
I have to go seek out specific channels, like, and check them if anything came out every few days. So subscribe if you want. If not, I don't know that it matters that much. If you like this review, though, check out our other reviews. We review a lot of movies. We see a lot of movies, and we like talking about them.
Yeah.
There's also some video game gameplays. We'll probably be playing Fallout 76 when that comes out. That'll be a thing. And down the road, I'm sure we'll do Last of Us 2. We gotta figure out how we're gonna manage that still, but that's kind of what we do on this channel. So, you know, if you like listening to the sultry tones of my voice,
yep,
then check that stuff out.
To everyone out there in Radioland.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Toodles. That was abrupt.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say.